Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everyone who has been able to join us this afternoon for the Master in Mechatronic Engineering Program Information Webinar. My name is Wilfred Elegba. I'm the Program Coordinator for the Engineering Program at Ashesi University. Today we have three speakers who we are glad to have and who will be taking us through the program, the benefits, and how students can join this program. First on the list is Professor Angela Owusu-Ansah. She is Provost at Ashesi University in Ghana. The second speaker is Professor Eduardo Maza, who is Professor of Mechanics at the ETH Zurich in Switzerland. Our third speaker for today is Dr. Nathan Amankwa, who is Acting Dean for Engineering at Ashesi University. And so we are glad to have these three seasoned speakers to take us through the program details and the benefits and also how to join. Once again, welcome to the program, and I will hand you over to Professor Angela Owusu-Ansah to start this information webinar. So over to you, Professor Angela.
Thank you so much, Wilfred and Dr. Elegba. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to say that Ashesi with ETH is extremely excited about the opportunity to offer this program in mechatronics and as a graduate level, together with 7 other industry partners. Many people ask, what is mechatronics? And so I'll give a brief explanation of what it is for those of you who might be interested in that. And it's a multidisciplinary field that refers to the skill sets needed in the contemporary advanced automated manufacturing industry. And it's at the intersection of mechanics, electronics, and computing, where mechatronics specialists they create simpler, smarter systems. And it's essential in the founding of expected growth in automation and manufacturing. For example, industrial robots, smaller robots that pick and place things in operations, control systems for bottling and packaging, all of these things, ATM, manufacturing plants, all need mechatronics. It's a field that can be utilized in agriculture, food, forestry, telecommunications, and some of the roles you may have as a mechatronics engineer is a robotics engineer, automation engineer, control system design engineer. You can be a software engineer as well. So with this interlacing of engineering and production, the World Economic Forum has talked about how it's so important for industry and university to work closely together, and how it's an untapped and very vital partnership, especially for employability. Next slide, please. So according to the new World Bank report, please, next slide, youth employment in sub-Saharan, the one with the data, oh, thank you. No, sorry, I'm sorry. So according to the new World Bank report, youth employment in sub-Saharan Africa is rising in the earning potential for Africa's growing youth population. And in particular, youth now make up the largest share of the population in most African countries. And as such, it is so more important now than ever to facilitate productive job opportunities, whether in the fast-growing modern wage or in the household, etc., or family-run farms, family businesses, etc. The report suggests that young people require basic literacy and numeracy, looking at secondary school or even primary school as enough for the needs projected for Africa. And as I would like to, as I always say, I humbly disagree that it is good, you know, of course, to have primary and secondary education and even, you know, some education, but it is not enough. And I support instead the work by Friesenhan, who says that for decades, you know, donors and policymakers have always focused on primary and secondary education as the key to development and poverty alleviation in sub-Saharan Africa. But instead, we should really aim for tertiary education and aim for the highest possible, including a master's, so that we can leapfrog in African countries. The next slide, please. As my president says, with respect to opportunity in the next decades, hundreds of millions of Africans will reach working age and will need jobs. With sufficient economic opportunity, this demographic bulge of Africans of working age will be a source of general prosperity, but without opportunity, it may fuel mass immigration, conflict, a host of other things that we would rather not have. In the next slide, we're talking about Ashesi itself. You know, Ashesi's mission aims to cultivate a new generation of youth who are concerned about the state of the continent and who are equipped with the skills and the courage to transform the continent. So Ashesi offers fields with a high potential to drive growth and innovation and demand for high qualified graduates. So our offerings are in business, computer science, management information systems, and of course, engineering. Ashesi is relatively young and a small university, but it is emboldened by the fact that only 6% of youth in sub-Saharan Africa attend college. And with this 6%, they are the ones who become Africa's future leaders. And so transforming how the small cohort, and we hope you will become part of that cohort, thinks and acts, can have huge benefits. Additionally, as part of Ashesi's ethos, we are keen to teach ethical, entrepreneurial, and critical thinking, and we have a desire and to inculcate in you the desire to serve as a leader. Next slide, please. So not only do 90% of Ashesi's graduates receive offers into career or graduate school within a year of completion, but 90% stay on the African continent. In 4 short years, we prepare our students, well, in your case, would be 2 or 3 short years. We prepare you to be brave enough and skilled enough to create meaningful progress in Africa. Next slide, please. According to Times Higher Education's ranking on impact, we were 9th in Africa. We serve about 31 different countries at Ashesi. We have over 100 plus alumni businesses running currently. 90%, as I said, stay on the continent. We have about close to 2,000 graduates, and we have a 1:1 ratio when it comes to scholarships and full fee pay. Next slide, please. Now, we talked about 90% staying on the continent. That means 10% find jobs outside the continent in positions that are potentially poised to influence Africa and Ashesi's day-to-day vibrancy, currency, and relevancy. And these are a few of the different industries and organizations that Ashesi graduates find themselves in. And in the next slide, please. So we are in partnership, and our partnership, partnerships in general are not new. And there are, there are cases written about the different partnerships between universities in the global north and universities in the global south. But I'm yet to see one like ours. It began with absolute transparency and recognition for the value of what each partner brings. And it is keen to recognize the different knowledges that exist and ought to be considered and encouraged. We have added to the already homogeneous knowledge domains, and we're not aiming to make one more dominant than the other, but we're trying to find the best productive tensions between the two. In the next couple of slides, my colleague from ETH will share his perspectives on our joint program. So I'm going to hand you back to Dr. Callebaut to guide us on our next steps. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Thank you, Wilfred.
Thank you very much, Professor Angela Wiswansa. I'll hand you over to the next speaker, Professor Eduardo Maza from the ETH Zurich, who will take us through the next slides on the program. So over to you, Professor Maza.
Many thanks, Wilfred, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Eduardo Mazza, and I'm a mechanical engineer. I'm 52 years old, and since about 20 years, I've been professor of mechanics at ETH Zurich in Switzerland. What you see here is a nice image of our historical building. This is the main building of ETH in the center of the town, in the center of Zurich, in Switzerland. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with ETH, but we thought it is probably a good, it's maybe useful to provide some background and a short introduction about our university. So we can maybe go to the next slide. And yes, so ETH is the Swiss Technical University. So it used to be named the Polytechnicum and is about 170 years old. So it was actually created to foster the industrialization of Switzerland. So already at that time, there was a very strong link between this new university and this emerging industrial landscape of Switzerland that then was responsible for the economical growth of Switzerland in the decade to follow. So nowadays, ETH is one of the, say, world leading universities, and the mission is a global one. So you see here we write that ETH Zurich is pioneering solutions to the global challenges. And so this is the ambition that we have, and we hope that we are able to provide some contribution. So we list here some reasons for success of this university. What I believe is really the reason for the success of ETH in Zurich is the fact that we have so many people there, and this is not only professors or members of the academic institutions. This is also students. All these people are contributing enthusiastically to our mission. So working very hard for education, for research, for interaction with society. And it is actually the very same spirit that I felt when starting our exchanges and interaction with Ashesi. And I think this is really an essential component of success for these academic institutions, and you could become part of it. Maybe we can go to the next one. And here are some numbers about rankings. I don't know how familiar you are with these different rankings of the academic institutions. So actually they allow us to say that ETH is the top university in continental Europe. So in all the different rankings, we are typically within the top 20 university of the world. And let me say a few words about those rankings. So, well, our university scores very high on those. And but of course, we know that they are not necessarily an indicator of quality, but they are certainly very powerful in terms of communications. So if you are high in those rankings, then you are able to attract very good students. and together with the very good students, also very good, say, members of the academic community, scientists and professors, and having highly skilled people, then this provides quality. So why should that be important to you? Well, I mean, ETH is well known. Ashesi is well known. ETH is well known around the world, and in particular by all major companies worldwide. And this is true also for Africa. So a title where you also have ETH involved, that could be helpful for your career. So we go to the next slide where we have a couple of figures about ETH Zurich. So you see up there, we proudly say that we had 21 Nobel Prize winners associated with ETH, and this is a large number. And the image you see here is probably of the most famous one, Albert Einstein, who studied in the same historical building that I've shown you at the beginning of the presentation. So the number of students is very large. We have over 20,000. And you see we are very international. We have people from over 120 countries. And you see part of the students, more than 4,000, are doctoral students. They also participate, the doctoral students also participate into the teaching. So 500 professors and 6,000 scientists are contributing to the education of the students. We have only 33%, but if I have to be honest, this is overall. And if we look at engineering, then the ratio is much, much lower. So here we are not doing particularly well, and certainly we should improve. We go to the next slide. And here we have a few words about our partners. These industrial partners, you see their names on their logos on the right, and they are world leaders in their sector. So I guess you know many of these names, and they provide good technologies. So they are certainly, I mean, good, providing also good possibilities for a future career for our graduates. So they are not simply supporting our program, right? So these industrial partners were there right at the beginning when we started the type of interaction that Professor Owusu Ansah was describing right before. So they see this participation in the program as part of their view towards the sustainable economic development of the countries where they operate. And they recognize the importance of young leaders in that process. So this is you, actually, taking the responsibility. And since many of their top managers, they had an education as engineers from ETH in Zurich. So this is another reason that they decided to engage with Ashesi and ETH Zurich to develop this program. Maybe we can go to the next one. And the background for these programs, so this mechatronic engineering, has been nicely explained at the beginning, and this was designed in collaboration between Ashesi University, ETH, and the industrial partners. So in fact, I mean, the background is designed, as we said, at the interface between mechanical and electrical engineering, computation. So basically taking advantage of the most advanced new technologies to facilitate solutions in automation, robotics, production, what we all believe is very important for the further industrialization of the continent. So you see, it will be taught by leading faculty. So you get great professors from Ashesi University and ETH Zurich, like myself. No, I'm joking, but it is true that there are many very experienced people involved in this program. So we can certainly ensure the fact that we have experience and we provide contents that are up to date and certainly state of the art. And you see, you will get 2 degrees, one from Ashesi University, a Master of Science in Mechatronics Engineering, and one as a Master of Advanced Studies from ETH in Zurich. And I think I have a last slide to reiterate about this close relationship with the industrial partners, right? So the fact that we designed this program together with this industrial partner is very important because it is optimized to facilitate your career in industry. So actually, the objective of having you taking over responsibilities for these companies is very important, but even more, we would like to attract students who feel the responsibility of contributing to the development of their countries. And the companies will facilitate this. So they committed to provide financial support for the entire duration of the program so that you are not dependent on your family economically. And they also provide mentorships, so guide you through the different challenges, and also internships, and at the end of the program, an offer for an attractive position within the company. So I think that should make it very special and hopefully attractive for many of you. I think with that, I hand over back to Wilfred, and of course, I will be happy to take any question and contribute to the discussion later on.
Thank you very much, Professor Eduardo Maza. We'll move on to our third speaker for today, who is Dr. Nathan Amankwa, Acting Dean of Engineering at Ashesi University, to take us through the next couple of slides. Dr. Amankwa, over to you.
So good afternoon, everyone. And we will go to the next slide. I'll briefly describe the nature of the curriculum. So yes, it spans 2.5 years, plus a little. In the very first year, students from different backgrounds would get an advanced treatment of some of the material that is necessary to be successful in this program. So there'll be a bit of some more mathematics, there'll be a bit more thermal, there'll be some programming and embedded systems as well. There'll be statics, dynamics, usual mechanics, but at a very advanced stage. And there'll be some more computational methods, there'll be some more electronics as well. So this kind of sets the stage, and we find that in years 2 and 3, there's a lot of control. That's what it's all about, really. Automation is control, automatic control. So you have control systems 1, you have it again in the second half of the year, and again in the third year, systems identification and modeling. It's also a control class. There's a course on analytics and machine learning. Obviously, in an industrial environment, you want to know how you want to predict when things might break and fix them before they actually break. And it allows you to extend the life of machinery, because you don't have to do maintenance if it's not necessary. For example, if you can analyze well, you can accomplish that. So that's a very useful course to have. Now, this course is not all technical. In designing this curriculum, we've had input from industry, and they've indicated that certain things are essential for someone who would be a leader in the industry. So leading teams, reducing societal impact and environmental footprint, for example, is a non-technical course which adds a certain perspective and flavor to the program. We'll cover things to renewable technologies. The focus of this course is on production and manufacturing. So there's a course on manufacturing. There's some more control. There's robotics. There's mechatronics. There's a course on finance, for example. There's corporate social responsibility. There are energy systems, which you would encounter in the manufacturing environment. And there's also process engineering. In the third year, there are classes only half of a year. That's 1 semester is equivalent. So here we would do some more control. There's a bit on communication as in networking, advanced forms, and IoT. There's a little bit of development economics, knowing the environment in which we are, how to design sustainably. There's product development. There's risk and reliability. It's actually a very mathematical class. And then we spend half of the year doing an internship. So you'd work with either the sponsoring organization or another industry to acquire practical experience and exposure. But also during the same period, we'll be writing up the master thesis. The thesis could be something that needs to be improved in a plant, in an industry where we're working, or it could be theoretical. But during that 6-month period, it's work, it's an internship. Right. Now, there are a number of benefits from this program. Some students, and we hope most will get there, would be able to obtain full funding by industry, which funding covers full tuition and all academic fees. They would receive a laptop and equipment that is used or that will be used for engineering. The cost will be covered. There'll be coverage of the accommodation. Health insurance will be covered. And for this period whilst in school, there'll be a ticket to travel home once a year if you are not living in Ghana, plus a monthly stipend. So it's a very generous package to be industry sponsored. Plus, though the companies will be happy to bring students they sponsor on board to do internships with them. And at the end of the program, they also have the first right of refusal when it comes to hiring. So they hope to hire some of the students they sponsor. And the program is designed such that it will be challenging our perspective of how things should be. And so we'll get exposure to how to be a good leader, for example. We'll develop our communication and interpersonal skills as well. And like we mentioned, we have these industry partners we've mentioned who would actually be sponsoring students each year throughout the program, but the additional sponsors also who would provide internships, for example. But those who sponsor students directly would want to hire some of those. And they're operating in multiple African countries. And so the internships will not necessarily be in Ghana, they'll be in the countries where they operate as well. And they would want to hire those students who stay on. I'd like to pass it on to Wilfred to tell us about how to get into the program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nathan Amankwa. So I will take you to the next slides, admissions information. You've heard a lot from Professor Angela Owusu-Ansah. You've also heard from Professor Eduardo Mata and also from Dr. Nathan Amankwa on what the program entails, the spirit behind the program, the benefits for students, but also for industry in designing this curriculum, which is very much focused on addressing the needs of industry within the sub-Saharan African region. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how do I get into this program? Applicants with a bachelor or master's degree in mechatronics, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer engineering, or any allied engineering and other related degrees will be considered for this program. If you have a second class or higher, you are eligible to apply for this program. The program is also open to applicants who have on-the-job training consistent. So graduated beyond 5 years but have been working in an engineering-related industry are also eligible to apply for this program. We'll look at the proficiency of English because that will be the language of administration of the program. So English would be important. Beyond academic requirements, even though Ashesi and ETH are focused on academic merit, we would also like to see what students have done in extracurricular activities. We would also like to see students demonstrate their motivation for joining the program. So it will be advantageous to show a strong motivation to join this program. This is a highly competitive program. It's one that is industry focused and it has a lot of benefits for students. So demonstration of motivation would also be considered besides academic requirements. There are scholarships available, as has been said earlier. These are fully funded scholarships, right? From academics, from tuition to accommodation, to travel and health insurance. And this is quite comprehensive. And so I would expect that most students across the continent with talent and drive would immediately put in the application to this program. The fees per semester is 4,250, but also take note that most there are scholarships available for good students, and those who apply would obviously be in the pool for selection for the scholarships. Currently, we have our first deadline today, which is the 30th of July. We've had some applications coming through, but I would encourage many of you to either put in your application. Secondly, if you are halfway through your application, I would encourage you to quickly complete your application and submit this because as we say, the early bird catches the worm. So it's always good to put in your application as soon as possible. Nonetheless, we have a second and the final deadline on 24th of September 2021. The initial deadline was 13th August, but looking at the advantages of this program to the sub-region, but also the advantage for students across the sub-region, we have decided to extend this deadline to enable as many good applicants put in the application for this Master in Mechatronic Engineering program, which will be delivered at Ashesi by faculty from ETH and Ashesi University. So this will be in tandem. Currently, as we've already mentioned, the application window is open. It's been open for a month and a half now, and we are looking to get as many more applications as possible. I would encourage you once again, don't waste time putting an application. This is a competitive program. It's a collaborative one. It's one that transcends borders. It's between Africa and Europe, as Ashesi and ETH Zurich. You are going to benefit, students will benefit. I mean, if you put in an application, you are going to benefit from quality tutoring, quality teaching from both professors from both universities. So you can always go to our website, ashesi.si/mechatronic, and you will find all the details you need. But I believe many of the details have been touched on and explained in this webinar. So we look forward to receiving your applications in the coming days. To end this, we would also like to acknowledge our partners from industry. So we have currently 7 industrial partners who have enrolled, who believe in this dream of training ethical entrepreneurial leaders, but also training engineering leaders for the future. And so currently we have ABB, we have Callebaut, we have Bühler, HPW, LafargeHolcim, Nestlé, and Tetra Pak. These industry partners should provide scholarships and direct mentoring, but also direct career opportunities for students who enroll into this program. We also have a supporting partners. The Swiss State Secretariat for Economic Affairs, SECO, is also supporting this program. And we also have other private donors and numerous foundations that have supported this program right from administration until now. So we'd like to thank these partners, and we look forward to receiving your questions and also your applications. Thank you very much.